Welcome to the Machiavellian mind. In the 21st century, power does not reside in castles or armies. It resides in information. And in this hyper-connected domain, the digital arena, your greatest vulnerability is not betrayal, but transparency. We are tenants in digital kingdoms built by others, constantly surveilled, constantly analyzed. Every click, every like, every hesitation is data harvested to predict, control, and ultimately subdue you. The classic Machiavellian maxim, "Power is perception," has never been more relevant. How do you maintain the untouchable aura of the prince when the entire world has a camera pointed at your life 24/7? How do you wield influence when everything about you is instantly searchable? The answer is not in fighting the system, but in becoming a master architect of the void. You must learn to use the tools of transparency to craft an image of strategic opacity. The true digital prince is the one who controls not just the narrative, but the silence between the words. He is the one who can step out of the light at will, leaving behind an aura of calculated mystery that terrifies and captivates. This is the definitive 5,000-word deep dive into the 12 Machiavellian rules for achieving total online anonymity and influence. Each rule is a blade sharpening your digital presence, turning your vulnerabilities into weapons, and transforming you from a transparent commodity into an unpredictable sovereign. We are adapting the timeless wisdom of fear, necessity, and calculation to the volatile theater of the Internet. By the end, you will not simply browse the Internet. You will command it. But first, a necessary caution. Ethical disclaimer. The strategies and psychological analysis within this monologue are presented for intellectual study, defense, and personal strategic development. The purpose is to understand the mechanics of influence, manipulation, and power in the digital landscape, so that you may defend yourself and master your own presence. This is not a guide for malicious intent, coercion, or illegal activity. Use this knowledge to build your own fortress, not to tear down others' lives. The true Machiavellian wields power with precision and restraint, recognizing that the greatest strength is self-control. Stay with me. Comment below with the phrase, "Digital Sovereign." Let the lesson begin. The average user approaches a profile as a confessional, eager to document their history, their likes, their location, and their emotional state. This is weakness. It is digital nakedness. The Machiavellian mind understands that information shared is power surrendered. Your profile is not a biography. It is a fortress gate. The empty profile is not truly empty. It is strategically curated. It contains just enough substance to prove you are real, but not enough detail to make you predictable. When people cannot read you, they are forced to project their own fears and desires onto you. The unknown is the fertile ground for aura. If you publicly list your exact job title, your alma mater, your political leanings, and your relationship status, you give the world the ammunition to categorize and control you. You become a stereotype, easily dismissed. The powerful presence, however, leaves curated fragments. A vague, authoritative bio, a profile picture that is high quality but impersonal, like a logo or a symbol, a background that signals aspiration, not location. Your goal is to become an enigma, a source of potential power, not a completed puzzle. When they search for you, they should find only a high-friction wall. They must work to know you. And when people invest effort to understand you, the resulting knowledge is automatically valued higher. Actionable strategy. Immediately delete or privatize any content that anchors you to a mundane or vulnerable past. Emotional rants, specific locations, photos with low-value associations. Replace your biography with a declaration of purpose, something that signals authority and high standards, but remains vague enough to allow you to pivot at any time. Remember, the less you reveal, the more they project, and the more they fear what you might be capable of. This discipline forges the untouchable foundation of your digital aura. The digital sovereign is a cipher, not an open book.
The modern algorithm is the ultimate spy, designed to predict your next action and, thereby, serve you the content that keeps you predictable. Your tastes, your habits, your purchasing power, it is all being logged. Prediction is control. To become untouchable, you must become unpredictable to the machine itself. You must embrace calculated inconsistency. The average user consumes content within a narrow, comfortable band. They like, share, and comment on the same niche, reinforcing the algorithm's confidence in its model of them. The Machiavellian mind actively destroys this model. Do not allow the algorithm to pin you down. Seek out contrasting content. One day, engage deeply with financial theory. The next, a niche documentary on deep-sea exploration. The day after, a high-level philosophical debate. Your consumption pattern should look like noise, a signal that is too complex for the machine to categorize reliably. This protects you from being targeted by specific psychological advertising and prevents external forces from anticipating your strategic shifts. Your own content output must follow this rule. If you are known only for finance, your power is limited to finance. If you strategically jump subjects, finance, history, psychology, strategic analysis, you project an image of omnicompetence. This signals that your mind is too vast to be contained by a single category.
people will see you as a polymath, a dangerous and unpredictable force. Actionable strategy. Post content with deliberate, irregular pauses. Never adhere to a predictable calendar. Leave digital breadcrumbs that lead nowhere. Engage with content outside your primary niche. If you are a financial guru, comment on a historical military strategy post. This signals to your followers and to the machine that your influence operates on a higher, cross-domain level. You are a master of strategy, not merely a technician of a single field. Starve the machine of certainty, and you reclaim your sovereignty.
The digital domain is a perpetual psychological battlefield, fueled by outrage, desperation, and the fleeting validation of public spectacle. Raw emotion, the outburst of rage, the desperate plea for sympathy, the public display of weakness, is the currency of the average user. It is also the ultimate crack in the Machiavellian mask. Emotional leakage is digital suicide. Your goal is to cultivate a digital presence that remains absolutely imperturbable. When others are consumed by the chaos of a flame war or a public cancellation, you must remain the still point in the storm. Your face, metaphorically speaking, is a fortress. Your voice, when used, is a calculated instrument. Never respond to an insult with an insult. Never justify, explain, or beg for understanding in the face of controversy. These actions concede control and validate the attack. Machiavelli taught that men judge more by appearances than by reality. Your appearance must be of one of total, effortless authority. If you must respond, use the power of the delayed, minimalist, and non-apologetic declaration. A response that is delivered days later, with a single, devastatingly precise sentence, carries more weight than an immediate, paragraph-long defense. Your silence, the space you occupy when others are screaming, becomes a psychological weapon. It signals that the attack is beneath your notice, too small to warrant an emotional reaction. Actionable strategy. Create a digital response protocol for insults or betrayal. Rule 1. Wait 24 hours. Rule 2. Respond with 5 words or less, focused on future action, not past offense. Example: instead of defending your past work, the results will speak. Rule 3. Never delete negative comments unless they violate platform terms. Let them stand as monuments to the futility of opposing you. When people cannot read you, they cannot predict you. When they cannot predict you, they cannot control you. This is the unbreakable mask. In the physical world, kings and rulers are hard to see. That scarcity fuels their mystique and raises their value. In the digital world, every notification, every direct message, every comment section is designed to make you instantly and constantly available. This constant availability breeds contempt and lowers your perceived value. The digital prince is rarely seen and never chased. You must enforce ruthless digital boundaries to protect your time and project an aura of high demand. The weak user answers every DM instantly, desperate for validation. The powerful user views his time and attention as the most precious commodity he possesses, and he treats it as such. Never allow your followers to believe they have automatic access to your mind. Set visible, firm boundaries. Announce that DMs are reviewed only on a certain day or only for business inquiries using a dedicated form. Make the cost of accessing your attention high. This is not arrogance, it is strategy. It teaches others that your time is not cheap, and therefore your opinions and your presence are not cheap either. When you do engage, make it surgical. A single profound comment in a sea of noise. A message sent at an unusual time. This signals that you are operating on a different rhythm than the frantic, low-value masses. It creates anticipation. People will wait for your reply, and they will value it when it arrives, because they know you are unreachable for everyone else. Actionable strategy. Turn off all non-essential notifications immediately. Establish digital engagement hours and adhere to them strictly. Use automated responses that direct low-value inquiries elsewhere. The ultimate power in the attention economy is the power to withhold attention. The man who is everywhere becomes invisible. The man who appears rarely but powerfully becomes unforgettable.
The Machiavellian prince understood that he could not always afford to be the executioner. He needed a scapegoat, a minister or official to carry out the necessary cruelties and absorb the public's hatred, preserving the ruler's image of benevolence. In the digital world, this is the digital double. You must never take a political, controversial, or high-risk stance directly on your main high-value profile. This is reckless exposure. Instead, you deploy a secondary, disposable account, an anonymous burner, or a carefully crafted pseudo-persona to test ideas, engage in dangerous debates, or float controversial theories. This digital double is your mercenary in the online wars. It can be sacrificed. If the idea is received poorly, the double is publicly disavowed or silently deleted. The main profile, the digital prince, remains untouched, its hands clean, its aura untarnished by the low-level fray. If the idea gains traction, you can later adopt it on your main profile, presenting it as a refined, successful concept that you have been contemplating from a distance. This strategy allows for risk-free experimentation with narratives and provides a mechanism for emotional discharge without fracturing your core mask. When controversy erupts, it should target the double, the anonymous shadow, leaving the real source of power intact and aloof. Actionable strategy. Create a shadow account that is not visibly linked to your main profile, but operates within the same general sphere of influence. Use this account to interact with your main profile's critics, to push your most dangerous ideas, and to analyze public reaction. Never sacrifice your main identity for a temporary victory. The double is a tool for strategic cruelty. Its purpose is to protect the king. Never take the field yourself when a pawn can absorb the first brutal strike.
The digital domain is obsessed with authenticity, which they define as complete, unfiltered transparency. This is a fatal mistake. True power is not authentic. It is curated. The appearance of authenticity is the most sophisticated form of perception control. You must use calculated leaks to feed the public what they want to believe, that they are getting a true glimpse into your world, while ensuring that every glimpse serves your strategic narrative. The leak is not accidental, it is staged. It might be a slightly blurred photo of a new project, a vague status update about a massive, unannounced deal, or a carefully positioned book on your desk during a video call. These fragments are designed to create a narrative of inevitable success and overwhelming importance. For example, never announce a massive project after it is complete. Instead, leak the struggle, the late nights, the cryptic messages about high stakes. This creates tension, anticipation, and respect for the effort. When the success inevitably arrives, the public feels they were part of the journey, thus binding their loyalty to your outcome. The secret is to ensure the staged truth always points to your untouchable status. The leak should suggest that you are perpetually in motion, dealing with forces too large for the average person to comprehend. This maintains the necessary distance and mystery required for a powerful aura. Actionable strategy. Identify 3 pieces of information that, if revealed, would boost your image of authority and mystery. LEG, a challenge you overcame, a unique resource you access, a sophisticated routine. Schedule the accidental release of these fragments. Control the information flow, and you control the interpretation of your reality.
The modern Machiavellian does not rely solely on human loyalty. He understands that digital power, like military power, is often about the illusion of overwhelming force. This is where automated systems, bots, scheduled content, and what we call shadow accounts become your digital mercenaries. In the physical world, a ruler projects power by having a massive retinue, loyal guards, and visible supporters. Online, this is achieved through strategic social proof and a consistent, amplified voice. Bots and automation, when used ethically and strategically, are force multipliers. They ensure that your message is delivered with relentless, unfeeling efficiency. They manage the low-level engagement, freeing your valuable time, Rule 4. More importantly, they create a sense of omnipresence. Your content appears everywhere, at all hours, reinforcing the narrative that you are always working, always succeeding, always active. Shadow accounts, different from the scapegoat of Rule 5, are subtle. They are low activity,
realistic-looking accounts that serve to seed consensus. They are used to upvote, share, or subtly support your content in critical early moments, ensuring that your message escapes the algorithmic penalty box and gains initial traction. This is the digital equivalent of packing your own audience at an ancient Roman Senate debate. Actionable strategy. Invest in ethical automation to manage content delivery and initial engagement. Never rely on these tools for deep communication, only for amplification and visibility. Use shadow accounts sparingly and surgically to give your content the necessary social proof during the first hour of posting. Your objective is to make your influence appear massive, relentless, and supported by an invisible, loyal army. The perception of force is often as effective as the force itself.
The most dangerous thing about the digital age is that nothing is truly erased. Every fleeting thought, every poorly aged comment, every regrettable photo is archived, searchable, and weaponizable. For the ambitious person, history is not a record, it is a liability. The Machiavellian mind understands that history is written by the victors, and in the digital age, you must become your own historian. The past must be curated to present a linear, undeniable narrative of inevitable success. The weak user leaves his entire digital history intact, allowing critics to constantly dig up inconsistencies and past failures. The powerful user regularly employs the law of the clean slate. This involves a systematic process of archiving, de-indexing, and sanitizing their digital footprint. This is not about hiding failure. It is about framing it. A past mistake should be allowed to exist only if it can be presented as a necessary stepping stone to your current untouchable status. All other noise, the irrelevant chatter, the fleeting trends, the weak opinions, must be removed. They clutter the narrative of your dominance. Actionable strategy. Conduct a digital footprint audit quarterly. Archive or privatize 90% of your old social media posts. Check Google search results for your name and actively pursue the de-indexing of irrelevant or damaging links. When people search for you, the results should be a concise, high-impact narrative of competence, authority, and strategic vision. Your past must serve your future. If it does not, it must be erased.
No ruler is an island. Power requires strategic alliances. In the digital world, this means leveraging the existing authority and reach of established figures. The parasite alliance law. The goal is to absorb their social proof without ever becoming subservient to their narrative. You must identify individuals whose audience and credibility can immediately elevate your own status. Your collaboration or digital alliance must be framed as a meeting of equals, even if you are the junior party. The key is the strategic framing of the exchange.
If you collaborate with a large creator, ensure that the content is hosted on their platform but contains a call to action that directs their audience to your most exclusive asset, your private email list or high-value website, not just their public social media. You leverage their light to draw their most valuable audience members into your orbit. When the collaboration ends, you retain the transferred authority and audience, while the larger creator is simply left with the shared public content. You must always gain more long-term value than you give in the short term. Actionable strategy. Before proposing an alliance, analyze the other party's weaknesses, such as lack of expertise in a specific niche or need for a younger audience. Position yourself as the indispensable solution to their weakness. When the content is released, promote it briefly, then shift the focus back to your own projects, using the collaboration only as a reference point for your now elevated status. Your alliances are ladders. Once you reach the top, you do not look down.
Justification is the language of the weak. Declaration is the voice of the sovereign. In the volatile, debate-hungry digital environment, the average user wastes all their energy defending their position, constantly providing the ammunition for critics to attack. The digital prince never justifies his actions, his beliefs, or his past decisions. He only declares. To declare is to speak in terms of necessity, inevitability, and self-evident truth. It eliminates the conversational space for argument. When you declare, you establish a frame of reality that others must either accept or resist entirely, placing the burden of proof and opposition squarely on their shoulders. Weakness. I changed my strategy because the market data showed a shift in consumer behavior and I wanted to adapt. Invites debate on the market data. Sovereignty. The shift was necessary. We move forward. Closes the discussion with finality. Eliminate weak conversational language from your digital presence. I think, maybe, sorry if, and any phrasing that solicits approval or validation. Speak in absolutes. Use short, powerful statements. The man who must constantly explain himself is a man without authority. Actionable strategy. When posting your most crucial insights, write them down, then delete the first 2 sentences, usually the justification, and the last sentence, usually the apology or validation plea. What remains is the raw, potent declaration. Let your statements hang heavy in the digital air. This forces the listener to grapple with the weight of your words, not the details of your defense.
A ruler who ignores incursions on his territory invites invasion. A digital sovereign who allows disrespect to fester on his profile invites collapse of his aura. Digital boundaries must be enforced with zero hesitation. This is the law of immediate consequence. The weak user engages with trolls, tries to win arguments, or simply ignores the negativity, hoping it will disappear. This teaches the audience that your boundaries are porous and your time is expendable. The Machiavellian response is surgical removal. The block and the mute are the most powerful weapons in your arsenal. They are the digital equivalent of an immediate, cold, and public execution of a disobedient vassal. They are not used in anger, but with clinical precision. When a critic crosses a clear line of disrespect, you do not argue. You do not respond. You simply remove their existence from your digital kingdom. This action serves two purposes. It preserves your emotional detachment, Rule 3. It sends an unforgettable signal to every other silent observer. Crossing the prince has an immediate, severe, and final consequence. The consequence is not humiliation. It is exclusion. The digital equivalent of being banished from the court. This is a profound psychological blow. Actionable strategy. Define your 3 non-negotiable boundaries, e.g., personal attacks, time wasting, blatant misinformation. If a comment violates these, do not hesitate. Block and mute immediately. Your digital profile must be a place where only respect, strategy, and high-value conversation can survive. Your aura will become a fortress, uninvadable, because the cost of entry is too high.
The ultimate power is not needing any one platform for your survival. All social media platforms, YouTube, X, Instagram, are rented land. You are a tenant subject to the whims, policy changes, and ultimate eviction notice of the landlord. The final Machiavellian step is the construction of your digital kingdom, a self-sufficient ecosystem that ensures your influence is untouchable by external forces. This digital kingdom is built on 2 pillars, your website and your email list. The website is your permanent palace. It cannot be censored, demonetized, or deleted by a third party. All your core, high-value assets reside here. The email list is your personal, private communication network. It bypasses the algorithm entirely, allowing you to speak directly, immediately, and privately to your most loyal subjects. The goal of all your public-facing social media activity, Rules 1 to 11, is not to gain followers, but to convert traffic into email list subscribers. Followers are tenants. Subscribers are citizens of your kingdom. When you own the connection, you own the power. If the platforms collapse tomorrow, the digital prince remains standing, communicating with his core base instantly. This self-sufficiency is the crown of untouchability. It means you can afford to risk a public debate, ignore a trending topic, or enforce a controversial boundary, because your ultimate source of power is secured and non-negotiable. You operate above the games of the low-level platforms because you are no longer dependent on them. Actionable strategy. Make the capture of email addresses the primary call to action on every single piece of content you produce. Treat your email list as your most precious asset, reserved only for your most important declarations and offerings. True freedom online is not the freedom to speak, it is the freedom to exist without the permission of the digital giants.
You have walked through the 12 laws. The path to the digital crown is one of ruthless self-control, constant calculation, and strategic discipline. It is not built on kindness or popular validation, but on the cold, hard reality of necessity and perception. Fuse these principles together. Let your silence command attention. Let your mask conceal your strategy. Let your boundaries be walls they dare not climb. Let your digital history be a curated monument to your inevitable success. The digital prince is not loud, not frantic, but inevitable. When you master this blend of strategic opacity and influence, people will surrender to your will online. Not because you force them, but because resisting you feels impossible. The choice is now yours. Will you remain a transparent commodity, predicted and controlled by the algorithm? Or will you embrace the mantle of the digital sovereign, an untouchable force in the hyper-connected world?